Some jobs from the past were so strange that if you listed them on a resume today, the interviewer would probably assume you were joking. So let's start with the merely bizarre and work our way down to the jobs that sound completely made up. Number 6. The knocky UP. In 19th century Britain, especially in industrial towns, being late for work could cost you money. But reliable alarm clocks weren't affordable or common for everyone. So people hired knock-ups. Their job was literally to wake workers before dawn. A knock-up would walk through the dark streets carrying a long pole, sometimes several feet long, and tap on a client's upstairs window until they woke up. Some even used pea shooters to send dry peas against the glass. Imagine sleeping peacefully at 5 a.m., only to hear tap, 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 and you couldn't hit snooze because the alarm was a person standing outside your house. The profession was widespread enough that historians have documented it as an important part of Britain's industrial working life, and some examples survived into the 20th century. OUP academic. Basically, before your phone said, "Wake up," a stranger did. Number 5. The Leech Collector. For centuries, doctors used leeches as part of medical treatment, and somebody had to collect them. That meant leech collectors would enter ponds, marshes, and other wet environments where the creatures lived, allowing leeches to attach themselves to their legs. The collector would then gather the leeches and sell them to medical suppliers. It sounds harmless until you remember the job description was essentially, go into a swamp and let blood-sucking worms bite you for money. And during periods when medical demand was high, huge numbers of leeches were collected for treatment. The strange part is that this wasn't some fringe occupation. Leeches were an important medical commodity in parts of Europe during the 18th and 19th centuries. Today, if someone tells you they're going into a swamp for work, you probably assume they're filming a survival show. Back then, they might just be going to work. Number 4. The rat catcher. During the Victorian era, rapidly growing cities struggled with enormous rat populations, and where there were rats, there were people whose job was to catch them. Rat catchers work around markets, warehouses, sewers, and other places where rodents gathered. They could use traps, dogs, and other methods to capture them. One of the strangest aspects was that some rat catchers became known for displaying their catches, turning the disgusting evidence of their work into a kind of professional advertisement. Imagine applying for a job, and your resume basically says, "Excellent with rats. Please see attached pile of rats." But there was a serious reason for the profession. Rats could contaminate food and contribute to the spread of disease, making pest control an important part of urban life. So while the job sounds ridiculous today, back then it was dirty work that cities genuinely needed. Number 3. The Gong Farmer. Now we're getting into territory where the job title sounds almost respectable. It wasn't. In medieval England, gong farmers were workers responsible for removing human waste from privies and cesspits. And yes, that meant exactly what you're thinking. They would enter filthy waste pits, remove the accumulated material, and transport it away for disposal or use as fertilizer. The work was so unpleasant that gong farmers were often restricted to working at night. There was no fancy office, no comfortable chair, no team-building retreat. Just a pit full of human waste and the knowledge that somehow this was your career. And because these pits could contain dangerous gases and infectious material, the work wasn't merely disgusting. It could be genuinely hazardous. So next time you complain about your job being stressful, remember, at least your office probably doesn't require you to climb into a medieval toilet. Number 2. The Resurrectionist. In the 18th and 19th centuries, medical schools needed human bodies for anatomical study. But there was a problem. There weren't enough legally available corpses. So some people made a living stealing them. These men became known as resurrectionists or body snatchers. They would visit cemeteries at night, dig into fresh graves, and sell the bodies to anatomists. In Britain and the United States, the practice became a major problem during periods when medical schools faced shortages of cadavers. And it wasn't just theoretical. In 19th century Edinburgh, William Burke and William Hare became infamous after murdering people and selling their body for anatomical dissection. History TV Netherlands. That's the kind of job where the resume probably starts with strong shovel skills. The irony was brutal. Medicine needed bodies to advance, and some people decided the easiest way to provide them was to dig them up. Number 1. The mute. And finally, one of the strangest jobs of all. The mute. At some funerals in Britain, professional mourners could be hired to attend the ceremony and appear appropriately sorrowful. The idea was simple. Their job was to help create the atmosphere of a respectable, serious funeral. So you could literally be paid to stand around looking sad. Imagine getting ready for wake, putting on your best black clothes, walking into a funeral, and thinking. Finally, a job where being miserable is professional skill. The practice reflects something surprisingly common in history. People didn't just hire workers to perform physical tasks. They hired people to perform emotions, appearances, and social expectations. And that's probably the strangest thing about these old occupations. The jobs disappeared, but the reason they existed tells us something about the world that created them. Because sometimes history doesn't look terrifying. Sometimes it just looks completely, unbelievably weird.